What happened to ballroom dancing? Episode 142. I am Rod Murphy, and this is Growing Up Poor in Irish Boston, a series of my 1950s era Irish Boston songs, history, jokes, and stories. And my motto, never let the truth interfere with a good story. Anyone who grew up in the late 20th century in Boston took for granted that they would learn to ballroom dance and later go to dances and have lots of fun. Today, that's not so. In Boston during my youth, there were many venues for ballroom dancing clubs, colleges, high school dances, and the totem pole at Norumbega Park. Historically, ballroom dancing like the foxtrot, waltz, tango, and jitterbug was a huge part of social life from the 19th century through the mid 20th century. It was how men and women met, courted, and celebrated. Formal lessons were common, and ballroom dancing was tied to etiquette, class, and romance. So, what happened? In one short period, dancing went from an almost art form passed along generation to generation to now a formless hip shimming and sway without moving the feet. That so called dancing occurs sometimes next to a partner, or maybe not. It follows no particular order and requires no particular training or skill. This uninspiring new dance is not appealing to watch or fun to do. Today's parents and grandparents all knew how to dance ballroom style. Dancing in the late 20th century began to be relegated to formal lessons, mostly ballet and mostly for girls. There's nothing wrong with formal lessons. My kids went to Irish step dancing classes every Sunday afternoon at the John Boyle O'Reilly Irish Club in Springfield with Mrs. Duffy. For my kids, the culmination was to compete at step dancing recitals with other step dancing schools. When I was at high school or college dances, I had no problem dancing most dances. I had no formal lessons, although my older sister Maureen provided basic tutoring. I would just let my feet go to the music in a repetitive manner, and my female dance partners seemed to follow me backwards easily. The summer after I graduated from high school in 1956, the family rented a Bennington, New Hampshire cottage, and I was the designated driver of a Ford Country Squire Woody station wagon. Mother and the five of us Murphy kids spent a month or more in that cottage, with my father coming up only on weekends. I was 17 and my father was still in charge. During the week I was free and unsupervised, and I had a car. Girls were prominently on my hormone-impaired mind. I discovered a weekly Friday night dance at a Richmond, New Hampshire dance hall. It was maybe 20 miles from Bennington. It had a live big band with Glenn Miller type music played on a high stage and on a lake. At that time, a big band would include trumpets, a clarinet, a set of drums, a fiddle, a tenor and an alto saxophone, trombones, a piano, guitars, and a male and female singer and the band leader. The music was unique. Show tunes, swing, some danceable jazz, blues, popular ballads with singers, and also just instrumental tunes were the fare. It was danceable music that everyone liked. The hall had a deck and open windows so cool breezes off the water would cool the dancers. The first night I went there, the lighting was low. There were guys on one side and girls on the other. After I watched for a while, I keyed in on a girl who looked a little older than me. She was alone, had a strange hairdo, a good figure, and thick glasses. So I went across the hall and asked her to dance. I discovered she was 20 years old, 3 years older than me. I think her name was Dorothy. We danced the whole night and the next Friday also. I had no trouble dancing with Dorothy. I just let my feet go and she followed. Some say ballroom dancing is still very much alive, but its popularity has declined sharply. So what changed? Several big cultural and societal shifts led to a drop in everyday ballroom dancing. Starting in the 1960s and 70s, rock and roll, disco, and more free dance styles took over. Partner dancing with strict holds and steps gave way to solo, freestyle, or two-line dancing. There's no need for a partner or lessons if you just move to the beat. Also, feminism screwed it up also. Females gained more freedom in social settings. Formal partner dancing required the man to ask the woman to dance, and then he must take the leading role. That became outdated or restrictive to many women. Dancing became less about meeting a woman or a man and more about the latest feminist rant, such as a woman needs a man like a fish needs a bicycle. Men are always more intimidated at dances anyway. But with the hostile attitudes of feminists, they stopped dancing almost totally. This led to a reduction in formal social events like debutante balls, sock hops, cotillions, or community dances, where ballroom dancing was expected. Wedding receptions continued to have slow dancing, but most turned into free-for-all chaos. However, I have recently read that ballroom dancing hasn't really disappeared. It's experienced a notable comeback in many places. Adult dance classes, especially ballroom and Latin, are growing in popularity for fitness, social connection, stress relief, and fun. Also, there are dance competitions with events like the U.S. Dance National shows and shows like the Dancing with the Stars, and keeps introducing it to new audiences. Celebrities learning ballroom makes it more glamorous and accessible. Health-wise, dancing is good for balance, cardio, mental well-being, and its low impact. Jean, my wife, was not much interested in dancing, so most of my adult life, dancing was missing. Since I became a widower, I have tried to get back to it. I really like Cajun food, Cajun music, and Western Louisiana. Jean and I went there for short vacations. So as a widower, I discovered that Greenfield, Mass. Had a venue called Hawks and Reed. It has lots of live music events, including a Sunday afternoon Cajun band. First, they give the participants Cajun dancing lessons, and then they play Cajun music for dancing. One of my most favorite lady friends, Marina, and I went there often. Marina grew up in Soviet Russia and is a very interesting woman. She is very beautiful and 20 years younger than me. We love those Sunday afternoon dances. Also, we went to some dancing classes together. Marina is now just a fond memory since she moved to Delray Beach. I seem to have two left feet when I try to do formal dance steps. Recently, I have tried 2 formal dance classes. I did not improve. I am still analyzing the reasons why. My thinking is that the reason might be that the almost military enforced and exacting steps don't agree with my Irish authority-defying nature. But I am going to try again to find that music in my soul and transfer it to my uncooperative feet. See the short video of Marina and I dancing at Hawks and Reed. And check out my episode 43, Little Roddy Discovers Glenn Miller. This is Rod Murphy. Thank you for viewing or listening to my YouTube and podcast episodes. I really appreciate it. If you enjoy them, please hit the subscribe button. It does not cost you anything, and it helps me to grow my audience. Again, my thanks.